every mimic you will ever need in D&D. 1. A door mimic. Just a door. They'll never see it coming. 2. Still part of the door, but these mimics are much more clever than their door mimic counterparts. They'll never see it coming. 3. Only the mimics who have achieved enlightenment will know that the ultimate way to hide in a doorway is to become the doorframe. These mimics will wait until your players are under the doorway before dropping down to om-nom on the least intimidating looking character in your party. 4. Keyhole. You've heard of sneaky little hobbitsies? Well, now we have sneaky little mimixies. Small and vile, these mimic children have developed a taste for lock-picking fingers. Rogues beware. 5. Oh, you are a cruel one. Not the door, not the handle, but the key. Give your players trust issues when you add key mimics into your games. 6. A chest. Just a chest. A chest mimic. They'll never see it coming. 7. The floor right in front of a chest. This mimic will nom on your players once they succeed on their investigation checks to ensure that the chest in the corner of the room is, in fact, not a mimic. 8. The lock on the chest. Or any lock, really. This mimic also enjoys disguising itself as padlocks, knob locks, bicycle locks, Goldilocks, etc. 9. Not the chest, but what's inside. This mimic is more intelligent than its less evolved mimic cousin, the chest mimic. Lull your players into a safe sense of security before om-nom-nomming down on them with the mimic disguised as the loot within the chest they thought was safe. While these mimics have a higher survival rate, they also see less adventurers, as keys to these chests are often not included. 10. Iron Safe. A safe place to teach your players that there is no such thing as a safe safe. 11. Barrel. Like its cousin, the chest mimic, this mimic is an absolute letdown once you learn that it only likes you for your innards. 12. A box in a merchant store. It's probably full of valuable things like ivory and teeth. 13. Cashier in a merchant store. Serves your players right for trying to rob a cashier register. 14. A wagon wheel. A wooden wheel that would affix to the axle of a wagon, allowing said wagon to roll in a linear motion in the direction the driver is determined to go. Only it's a mimic. Oh boy, I bet you didn't see that one coming. 15. A wagon chair. This mimic will om-nom on your traveling players' bottoms. 16. A street sign. Most mimics stay underground where they are protected from the invasive rays of the scorching sunlight, but to the street sign mimic, the surface world is full of untapped potential. Shock your players with a street sign mimic as it boldly feeds where no mimic has fed before, albeit rather blindly in the sun's scorching rays. 17. A hat. The first in a series of mimics disguising themselves as wearable items, the hat mimic has been listening to far too many Mind Flayer podcasts and just wants to eat your brains. 18. The helmet. A close relative to the hat mimic, the helmet mimic knows it's an absolute joke because helmets don't add to your AC in 5e, yet lacks the confidence in itself to transform into its more glamorous relative, the crown mimic. If you see a helmet mimic, just give it a little bit of positive reinforcement and it will thank you before eating your brains. 19. The crown mimic. The crown mimic thinks it's better than all of its hat mimic relatives, and it's right. There's just no gentle way of putting this. A crown is a lot more enticing to a party of adventurers than a hat or a helmet. It's just facts. 20. Cloaks. These mimics like to hide on coat racks and door hangers. By now, your players should have a general understanding that nothing they touch is safe, not even the cloaks on their back. But wait, it gets worse. Number 21. Armor. Oh ho ho, let's make it a breastplate mimic. No, a plate mail mimic. And let's size it precisely to the height and bust of that one character who's been nagging you for a new set of armor all week long. 22. Bathing suit mimic. Not gonna lie, I'm not sure what the bathing suit mimic was thinking. Maybe it just really likes music and wants to attract all the bards so it can have a live performance along with its dinner. I don't know. 23. Shirt mimic. This mimic claims to be the original clothing mimic, continually branding all other clothing mimics as posers and copycats who are just thirsty for flesh. 24. The jacket mimic. Like the cloak mimic, but 100 times more stylish. 25. The codpiece. The mimic that makes anyone who sports the anatomy to wear a codpiece shudder in their boots. 26. Boots. Just a pair of polished leather boots pretending to be a mimic. Wait, it's the other way around. 27. The shoe. Just one shoe, a singular shoe, that's all. Nothing more, nothing to see here. 28. A ring. A really tiny mimic. Honestly, the babiest of baby mimics. But oh boy, this baby has an appetite. 29. Wooden peg leg on a pirate. I was contemplating saving this mimic for later, but I'll include it here now because it's such a brilliant idea. Give your pirate NPC a peg leg mimic to om-nom on his enemies. Pirates are good at making enemies, so I'm sure his peg leg mimic will never go hungry. 30. Bag of holding. Magic and mimics? What an ingenious combination. This mimic likes holding bodies. The bodies of your players. 31. normal bag. The less intelligent variation of its more advanced kin, the bag of holding mimic, the normal bag mimic, exists as proof that there will always be someone greedy enough to sift through a perfectly normal bag. 32. The coin purse. The smallest of all bag mimics, the coin purse mimic enjoys mauling hands whole. 33. A sword, but the entire sword is a mimic. 34. Sword, but the blade is the mimic. 35. Sword and a stone. A sword that's not a mimic, but it's wedged into a mimic disguised as a giant stone. 36. Is that a legendary sword floating inside of a gelatinous cube? It can't possibly be a mimic. 37. Weapon display. A rack full of weapons, or a katana on a pedestal, or a coat of arms hung up in a bedroom wall. Weapon display mimic comes in many shapes and sizes. 38. Spyglass. These mimics play I Spy with curious eyeballs. They eat adventurers' eyes, and then the rest of the adventurer too. 39. Map. The last mimic that took a bite out of Ol Assassin was a map mimic. Just a plain old map plastered against a dungeon wall. Who wouldn't want to take a closer look at the possibility of knowing exactly what rooms the dungeon has in store for them? 40. Waterskin. What was once a kiss of life is now an ominous smooch of death. Tell your players to get nommed by leaving a waterskin mimic next to their loot. 41. Tinderbox. Nothing too fancy, just a fire starting kit, not the brightest mimic of the bunch. 42. Compass. This mimic will always point you in the right direction, down its throat and into its stomach. 43. Umbrella. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about the umbrella mimic. It's just a mimic that decided to turn into an umbrella. I like to imagine that as the players open up the umbrella, they see a giant umbrella-sized mouth breathing down their neck, while the umbrella handle slowly turned into a sticky purple tongue they can't let go of. 44. A healer's kit. Healing kits help your players increase their HP. This healing kit helps your players decrease their HP by storing it in a safe place where they will never see it again. 45. Rope. A pile of rope. 50 feet of hempen rope. Who wouldn't want a pile of rope? Thought the mimic as it transformed into a pile of hempen rope. 46. A broom. These mimics were the hyper-vigilant clean freaks of the family who were always making sure everything was well dusted and presentable, just in case dinner was to waltz through the dungeon earlier than usual. 47. Ladder. These mimics get pretty high. 48. Jewelry. Here's a little lesson in trickery. Your players simply can't resist jewelry. I'm sorry, I'll stop now. 49. Your players also can't resist a pile of coins, gold ones especially. There is something about the gold. 50. A wand. Bibbidi bobbidi boo. This mimic is slobbering all over you. 51. Mirror. This mimic feeds on only the most vain adventurers. And on all the other adventurers too. 52. Magical instrument. They say that playing the guitar helps you pick up chicks. Who knew being a guitar would help you pick up the peeps trying to pick up the chicks? The guitar mimic knew. 53. Candle. This mimic just wants to get lit. 54. A torch. This mimic just wants to light the way. 55. Lantern. This mimic is just tired of hearing everyone say, "I have dark vision." 56. Toilet. The toilet mimic has seen and smelt many horrible things it will never be able to unsee or unsmell during its lifetime. 57. Window. These tinted glass windows will betray you. 58. Drapes. The drape mimic could match the carpet, but it doesn't want to. Has anyone ever asked about what color the drape mimic wants to be? I don't think so. 59. Carpet. The carpet mimic always matches the drapes and has no regard for drape mimic's feelings. Drape mimic would know. 60. Cabinet. This mimic will provide the containers if you bring the food. 61. Flower vase. I mean, at this point, I honestly can't tell if the mimics are getting more creative or desperate. Probably both. 62. Scroll. This mimic likes to roll. 63. Book. The book mimic, also known as the Omnomicon. I'm sorry. 64. Bookshelf. The books are real books. The shelf is the mimic. This mimic pretends it likes to read, but all the other mimics know it's illiterate. 65. Table. This mimic eats at a table like a civilized creature. 66. Plain chair. Nothing special about this mimic, just a plain old om-nom with a taste for your bottom. Pretty sure I used that one already. 67. Comfy chair. A comfy bottom om-nom. Okay, who's writing these? 68. Couch. This mimic looks into the mirror and knows that it's the fairest of them all. It doesn't even need to ask. 69. Bed. After a long day of adventuring, the exhausted traveler throws off their armor and falls onto the mimic. 70. Taxidermy of an animal. The stuffed animals before they were cute. 71. A bear pelt. Just a giant bear skin lying on the floor. Nothing to see here. 72. Floorboard. Watch your step. 73. Floor tiles. Watch your step 2.0. 74. One stair in a spiral staircase. Watch your step with a thump 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 on the way down. Honestly, that was funnier in my head. 75. doormat. This quaint little doormat mimic has the words "welcome" stitched into it. 76. Painting. This mimic can be described as so. You spot a painting of vibrant colors splattered across a white backdrop, the kind of thing a 5-year-old could have painted that was probably made by a famous artist and is now worth more money than you could ever hope to make in 7 lifetimes. 77. Ornate tapestry. A large piece of fabric with mind-bending geometrics. It's probably worth something, right? 78. A wall. Why be a door when you can be a wall? 79. Brick disguised as a secret button. You know those indented bricks that people press in those stuffy mansions to reveal hidden walls or doorways into secret rooms or locations? That's this guy. 80. A fake dead end in a hallway. Like the wall mimic, but even crueler, the fake dead end in a hallway mimic has no respect for life or dungeon progression whatsoever. 81. Ceiling. Fat like the wall mimic, but gets high like the ladder mimic. 82. Chandelier. The elder brother to the torch, candle, and lantern mimics. Fixed atop the dining room table, this mimic packs a punch for when the people below eat their lunch. 83. Cup. A C-tier mimic who thinks it's the stuff. 84. Coffee mug. A slight variation of the cup mimic. Don't even talk to coffee mug mimic until it's had its human. 85. Bottle. The classier relative of the cup and the mug mimics. The bottle mimic has a taste for the finer things in life. Beer jug. The larger relative of the cup and bottle mimics. Sometimes people pour beer down beer jug mimic's throat. Those people may live. 87. Glowing goblet on a pedestal. The ascended great-grandpappy of the cup mimic family, the glowing goblet on a pedestal mimic uses its saliva to reflect nearby light sources, keeping its skin moist and healthy for that illustrious glow. 88. Potato. Looks like a potato, thinks like a potato. 89. Bread. Not quite the dough players are searching for, but at least bread mimic tried its very darn best. 90. Health potion. Reward your players with a health potion mimic. 91. Wheel of cheese. It thinks it's cheesy, but it's just a load of cheddar. 92. Fork. This mimic relies on the civilized person's appetite in order to keep itself well fed. 93. Cookpot. This mimic eats the food placed in its basin before eating the chef, causing it to get a whole lot fatter a whole lot faster. 94. A jar of pickles. There will always be that one individual who decides to take that jar of pickles for themselves. The jar of pickles mimic is really counting on that one individual to show up each dungeon crawl. 95. A rock. This mimic often wonders why it doesn't have many friends. For stat blocks on these mimics, check out my book 100 Mimics, link in the description below. 96. A bush. This mimic has more friends than the rock mimic, but still often wonders why it doesn't have many friends. 97. Icicle. This mimic hangs from ceilings and drops down on unsuspecting victims below. 98. Armor stand. Not the armor, but the wooden stand on which it sits. If the armor stand mimic is holding a set of plate armor when it transforms, does that mean it's wearing plate armor during combat? 99. A bowling ball. Similarly to the scroll, the bowling ball mimic likes to rock and roll. 100. Plush mimic. A cute little plushy mimic baby. Aw, it's so adorable.
But what's the use of a mimic if they don't have fun loot to give once they're dead? So watch this video for 100 loot drop ideas your players will love.